Hello there, welcome to IHA lecture series. So in the last few sessions on Nyaya school, we had discussed about two among the four pramanas followed by Nyaya school, and they were perception and inference. We had studied it and discussed it in detail. So today we are going to study about the other two pramanas followed by the Nyaya school, and they are comparison and testimony. Comparison means upamana, testimony means shabda in Sanskrit. Okay, so let's take a look at it. As stated by Nyaya school, comparison is a method or a means using which we derive the knowledge of relation between a word and its denotation. Okay, so remember the process by which, the means or method by which we understand the relation between a word and its denotation is called the comparison. So it's such a simple idea or pramana to study too. I'll get you an example. Suppose you are a person who doesn't know what is a wild cow, just because you have not seen a wild cow before. Are you getting it? The term for wild cow in the text is gavaya. Okay. So what happens in this case is you happen to meet an authoritative person. Okay, authoritative person here means a person who is trustworthy and he is 100% reliable. Okay, so you happen to meet this person, and out of this particular person you come to understand that a gavaya is something. That is, a wild cow is an animal that looks like a cow. So all of us know what is a domestic cow. Okay, the domestic animal cow. The problem is we have not seen a wild cow. And what happens is you get an opportunity to get into the forest, and so in the forest you are confronting an animal. And what you do is you remember the description given by that authoritative person and you relate it and you recognize that animal as the wild cow. So the process involved over here is called the comparison or upamana. Okay, so that's it. Moving on to the next pramana, that is called the testimony or shabda. So this comparison and testimony just have a very subtle difference between them. Okay, let us move on to that. Moving on to the pramana testimony. The knowledge that we gain out of the words of an authoritative person is called a testimony or shabda. Okay, so the point is we actually rely upon the words of a human being over there, okay, or a person over there. But the point is all such verbal testimonies are not at all considered as testimony. Okay, it should come out of an authoritative or a trustworthy person. That is the basic criteria for determining a knowledge as a testimony. Is it clear? Well, so testimony is again divided into two, Vedika and Laukika. Vedika means scriptural testimony. Okay, scriptural testimony means relating to religious texts. So it is something that is infallible. It is always perfect. Okay, infallible means it will never ever go wrong. So there is no doubt in it. Okay, it is called a Vaidika testimony. It is scriptural testimony and it is infallible and it is perfect. Okay, since it is considered as the words of God. Okay, the scriptural testimony are the words of God, so it is always infallible. Then the second category of testimony is Laukika testimony. It is secular testimony just because over here we consider the words of a human being. Okay, and we know that only God is perfect. Okay, because of that Laukika testimony is fallible, and we consider it as a testimony only if the person who is providing this shabda or testimony is a reliable person or an authoritative person. Okay, so you might be wondering what is the criteria for making somebody a person of authority, okay, to comment upon a particular knowledge. I will get you an example to understand this idea. The example is, you just consider this argument. Albert Einstein believed in astrology. So, there is something in astrology and I believe in it. Okay? This is an argument. This is an example for an argument. It goes like this. Albert Einstein believed in astrology. So, there is something in astrology. Okay? And because of that, I am also believing in astrology. Don't you feel like it is an example for a fallacious argument? This cannot be taken as a true knowledge or as testimony in this case. Okay? We know that Einstein is an authority of physics. So, if at all he makes some statements or some testimonies on the subject of physics, then that is reliable. Okay? But he is not at all an authority of astrology. Okay? Then how can we rely on this definition that he believes in astrology and so because of that there is something in astrology? Are you getting it? So the point is, the person from whom we are actually considering this knowledge, okay, who is giving this knowledge should be a man of authority. Are you getting it? Well, so this Laukika testimony is again divided into two, and they are called Drishtartha and Adrishtartha. Okay, Drishtartha contains the knowledge relating to perceptible objects of the world. Perceptible objects means, we can perceive it, okay, using our senses. You might be able to see it, okay, touch it, know it, perceptible. The knowledge relating to perceptible objects in the world is called Drishtartha. Are you getting it? For example, the statements of a reliable botanist on plants. Okay, that's an example for Drishtartha. And Adrishtartha is exactly the opposite of Drishtartha. So, accordingly, Adrishtartha means the testimony relating to imperceptible objects in the world. Okay, imperceptible objects means supersensible realities. You just cannot see it using your naked eyes. Are you getting it? An example over here is statements of a reliable nutritionist regarding vitamins. Okay, so this is something which is also reliable, although it is imperceptible. It is pure science. We know that science actually deals with the truth. Well, so that's it. Moving on to the next classification of Laukika. Knowledge in Shabda Pramana comes to us through the oral or written words or sentences of an authoritative person. Hence, it is really important, according to Nyaya school, that we should possess some conditions of intelligibility of a sentence. And according to that idea, Nyaya school actually follows 4 conditions in order to check the truth of a particular statement. Okay, and these 4 conditions are Akanksha, Yogyada, Sannidhi and Tatparya. Moving on to each of them. Akanksha means expectancy. So, what exactly is Akanksha? According to Akanksha, each and every word in isolation, if a word is standing alone, it cannot convey complete meaning. So, inside a sentence, if you are making use of a word, it should be related to each other. Are you getting it? See, you just consider this example. Elephant noodles bar child. Elephant noodles bar child. So, out of that word combination itself, we come to the conclusion that it is literally unintelligible. Okay. So, the second case is Yogyada or fitness. According to this condition, each and every word, okay, inside a sentence shouldn't contradict the sense that is conveyed inside the sentence. So, a word should have fitness inside a sentence. For example, you consider this particular case. Water the grass with fire. Water the grass with fire. So such a statement is an impossible one, and over here if you check it out, the words doesn't have fitness to convey a complete meaning. Okay, then the third condition according to Nyaya school is sannidhi or proximity. Proximity means nearness. So according to this condition, Nyaya school or the Nyayikas argue that words should be in close proximity in order to convey a particular meaning. Imagine that you are uttering a word in a sentence after a long interval, you will literally lose the meaning that is being conveyed. That is the case under the condition sannidhi or proximity. Moving on to the fourth condition, and that is tatparya or intention. Okay, this condition is actually talking about words which have more than one meaning. So one single word can convey more than one meaning or different meanings. So how can you fix the meaning? Okay, the denotation what it actually represents. And Nyaya school, they argue that the meaning of the word should be considered according to the context of intention of the speaker. Okay, in which context a particular speaker is using that particular word. So it should be according to the context of intention of the speaker that you have to fix which is the meaning of that particular word conveyed. And this idea will be more clear if I just give you an example. You just consider the example of a word Saindava. Okay, the word is Saindava. Saindava is a word which means horse and salt. Okay, it has two meaning, horse and salt. So imagine that you are having food and you are asking for Saindava, and your fellow person, he or she comes to you with a horse. So that is completely unintelligible for a person who is eating food. If he is asking for Saindava, that means the thing that is obvious over there is, of course, the meaning called salt. Are you getting it? So the context of the intention of the speaker should be considered as one condition. So with this, we are coming to the end of the Nyaya schools, and so far we have discussed all the 4 pramanas. You just go through the other 2 pramanas that I had already given in separate videos. I will provide the link in the description box and at the end card too. Okay. Well, so I just want to add one more school of philosophy over here, which is none other than the Vaisesika school. So why I am including it in this session is just because Vaisesika is actually a partner of Nyaya school. So that means that almost everything that is being discussed inside Vaisesika actually falls under Nyaya school. Are you getting it? Moving on to that, Vaisesika school is actually a partner of Nyaya school. So Vaisesikas actually share the epistemology of Nyaya school with a minor difference. Okay, as we all know, Nyaya school actually follows 4 pramanas, okay, as the methods of reaching true knowledge, and they are perception, inference, comparison and testimony. But coming over to Vaisesika school, they have a difference. They just only follow 2 of these pramanas, and they are perception and inference. What they do about this comparison and testimony is they just do not consider comparison and testimony as independent pramana, but they narrow down those 2 cases under inference itself. Okay, so I hope it's clear. So in this session we had actually discussed about the last 2 pramanas of Nyaya school, comparison and testimony, and the Vaisesika school too, just because Nyaya school and Vaisesika school share the same, almost the same ontology and epistemology. Okay. So with this we are coming to the end of this session, and I hope that all the ideas that we had discussed over here are pretty clear. If you have any doubt, you can comment it, okay, below the video, or you can mail it at ihaacademy20@gmail.com. I have placed the details in the description box. So I am Mona signing off. Thank you.